So again, this is the last chapter or last domain. Um, this is the security operations or security operations center (SOC). This is a very common term used in the industry. Network operations center for the NOC and security operations center for the SOC. And this is the day-to-day operations where analysts sit and they watch the network. If something bad is happening, something wrong is happening, they are the one responsible to fix the problems and issues coming into the network and security. So SOC is more focused on security. NOC sometimes is focused mainly for the network related issues, connectivity related issues, but security is more wider in a sense that it looks into alarms and alerts and see why it alert happened, why it happened, someone trying to attack, someone trying to penetrate, someone trying to intrude our systems, so on and so forth, right? So security operation needs more vigilance, more knowledge and more understanding how things work, right? Because you have to go deep into troubleshooting just to make sure that when the alerts and alarms comes, you can investigate and fix them. So security operation is a very important job, and that's is a very evolving field. A lot of jobs are coming. A lot of jobs will come for sure in this area. So SOC analyst, normally the people work in the SOC, they call SOC analysts, security operation analyst, and they are the one who do all this alarm monitoring and they do the troubleshooting and so on. So keep in mind, this is a very common job that people start in their career with, and it's give you the base information normally and typically what the SOC entails and how the SOC operates, right? In this domain, we're gonna study some security technologies that happens in the industry and what normally SOC analysts do on the system hardening perspective, how they make sure that data is always secure, what are some of the best practices, policies are SOC is supposed to follow, and at the same time, just to make sure that user trainings and awareness are constantly happening, right? Because the main thing that SOC is responsible is to make sure organization assets are secure, as organization data is secure, organization people are following the security policies, or people are making sure that they are not doing the unintentionally or intentionally the wrongdoings, right? So SOC is kind of, you can say, guardian of the system, right? They have to make sure that everyone is following the best practices, everyone is not just falling into some trap. So they have to make sure that things are done correctly from the cybersecurity perspective, from asset protection perspective, from data security perspective. So they have to make sure that some standard policies, procedures being followed and so on, right? So this is a lot of responsibility, but it's done systematically. So it's not that it's super overloaded. At the same time, it's systematic, I would say. The most of the organization, they build their cybersecurity program in a way that they staff enough people, they train them, they make sure they know how to do it, what to do, and so on and so forth. So it's a matter of making sure you gain the knowledge and then apply the knowledge in day-to-day job, right? So important thing in the entire security operation and entire cybersecurity, the concept is that data is the most important thing, right? Data, as we repeatedly say, data is the new gold, right? So data is the one which is our most important commodity in our organization. Data could be of any type, right? So some of the data has more sensitivity than others and so on and so forth. But important thing is that data is important to be protected. This is the important takeaway. And what happened data perspective, when we say data, what is data, right? Data could be anything. Let's say I'm creating a document and I'm storing on Google or whatever, right? So in Google document, or maybe I'm storing on my local PC, whatever. Important thing is that the document may have some critical information. It could have my sales and marketing strategies. It may have some new product information. It may have something that how we are going to launch this new product, which will give us $1 million business, but our competitor should not know. Sometimes data is very sensitive, right? It could be very sensitive information. If competitor know, maybe they will launch it before us and we will run short of business. But at the same time, it's not always business and money. Sometimes let's think about the personal information, credit card information, right? It could be important piece of information if it went into wrong hands. So it's important for me to store the credit card information of my users, or my company, wherever I am doing the credit card transaction. I'm handling it in a certain way that is secure, it's not misused. Similarly, health information, right? PHI we studied, personal health information. This is the data, right? Some organization, that's the doctors, they have to collect this information, right? And they have to use it to make sure that they can provide the right treatment to the patient. But at the same time, this data should not be misused. It should be used carefully and in a responsible way. So when we say data handling, so data handling, you can say that data starts with creation. Someone creates a data, that's a health record, or a file, or credit card record, or whatever. So someone stores the data, someone creates a data, then we store the data, right? We save it somewhere. In simple words, you can imagine you're working on a your school or university assignment, and you created a file or presentation or document. That's the data you created, and you stored it. You save it locally, or you save it on Google Drive or wherever, right? So this is where the creation and storage happen. Then you use it, right? You use it. You use it for your own personal use. You share it with your friends or teachers or whatever, right? So you create the data, you store the data, you use it, you share it, and after some time it becomes like an old data, which you don't need it on a regular basis, right? You archive it. Archive means you save it, you put it in some cold storage. You don't need to use it every day, but you may need it. Let's say in a lot of organizations, they have a policy to store the data for 5 years. So within 5 years, they might need to look back some data, right? So they have to keep the data in the archives 5 years or 6 years, or some of government organization have 10-year archiving requirements. So you have to create it, store it, use it, share it. At the same time, put it somewhere. If you are not commonly using it, archiving it means that put it in some cold cheap storage, but keep it there. Eventually you cannot keep the data forever, right? It will create such a big requirement for the storage networks, and huge terabytes and petabytes of requirement of data storage. We cannot have unlimited hard drives, right? End of the day. So eventually the organization, after whatever the policy says, their organization policy to keep the data. Some data, some the small organization just keep it for 6 months, right? And they destroy after that. Depends on the kind of business and the kind of data they are storing. Eventually, data destruction happens. Means that we destroy data, we delete the data, we format the hard drives, whatsoever, right? We clear up the space so we can use for new data. This is a cycle, data handling cycle: create, store, use, share, archive, destroy. And data is the commodity. Data is the one which we are constantly creating every day in our daily life also, right? We are creating, sending emails, we are sending messages, WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is just the backup for us, by the way, right? So we created data, WhatsApp store it, we use it, we share it with the pictures and all that. So WhatsApp might be keeping a policy for a week or day or two, right? Maybe they are destroying after that, whatever, unless we keep locally in our phones, right? So and eventually data destruction happens. This is a cycle. This is a cycle happens for many data types, right? Some data is more critical than others. That's where the data sensitivity levels comes, right? Some of the data is super restricted, super sensitive, right? And data is labeled, actually they put different levels in different organization, that this is highly restricted. Restricted means that this is a very sensitive data, and based on this data our future relies, right? Based on this information our future being dictated. So compromise of this data can be a very substantial loss. Maybe it's threatening some life or some injuries and property damage whatsoever. It's super critical data, right? So you will make sure that this data is handled very carefully, is secured very responsibly. Second thing is less restrictive, is moderate. I mean, in the sense that this is commonly happen in a lot of organizations. You have moderate sensitivity. Some data, that is should not be leaked out or something, because if it is leaked, it may have some temporary loss to me. It's not that my company will get bankrupt and will be closed, but it's not a good to leak this information. Let's say a lot of time in business, RFP comes, right? The new business proposals comes and all that. If I lost one or two proposals, it's not that it's not a big deal, right? uh, so maybe I'll lose some business, but eventually I'll survive. So it's moderate risk or moderately restricted. Low sensitivity is kind of not very sensitive data, but it could cause some minor impacts. And last is the unrestricted public data. It's commonly known information. There is no harm in that, right? Even it's leaked and all that. So data cycle, creation of the cycle, use of the cycle, destroy, and at the same time, sensitivity wise data has assigned different labels. And security operation, you're handling data. Why we are discussing this data thing in the security operation? Because end of the day, security operations centers, SOC analysts are actually protecting the data, right? Cybersecurity is all about protecting the data and assets, right? So we have to understand how data is created and handled, and what type of sensitivity could be, because it's not that everything is super sensitive. It's not that everything is low sensitivity. So we have to understand the sensitivity, because I know in a lot of modern organization, a lot of government organization, lot of public and organization, they have a lot of restrictions on the data handling, especially the government, on hospitals and all that. They have a lot of privacy laws, and they have to make sure that they're handled, data is handled with respect to those laws, right? And we have studied before is that, you know, data handling in some time could be relate to, breach of the privacy policies and breach of the some government laws, right? Your government says doctor should not leak the information of a patient, right? This is against patient privacy, and that's the reason a lot of countries have this privacy laws, right? If someone is breaching that information, then they should be penalized, they should maybe punished, they should go to some fines and whatsoever, right? So sometimes the data handling may result in some law, breaking of the law, and you can get penalized or punished, right? So make sure that you understand the sensitivity of data, especially wherever handling the credit card data, personal health data, PII, PHI, this information. There are certain rules to handle that information, and that very important that we in the SOC analysts understand what type of data they are handling and what is the severity of the data. And again, same thing, right? We studied before data privacy and data protection. Data privacy is that how the organization or is collecting the data of their users or their customers and so on, and how they are saving it, protecting it, right? So it means that some organization, doctors, they constantly collect PHI information. Hospitals, they collect this PHI, personal health information. Credit card companies, a lot of time collect your personal information, your phone numbers, and all that. Banks collect this information, right? When you go and open an account, your ID card, whoever the organization is issuing, government organization issuing your national ID card or driving license, they collect all of this information. It's their responsibility that they have to make sure that they take your information, they store it in a way that your name, your health card, your driving license information, your birth date, your last name, your contact information, your home address, it's not misused, right? A lot of bad things are happening. So it's not that it goes to the bad people or bad guys and they start misusing your information. So whoever is collecting the information, they have to make sure that they follow certain rules and regulation, and they save your information or our information in a very responsible way, right? In a lot of countries, as I said, have a lot of laws. Europe has GDPR, right? And this is very, very strict law. In Canada, it's PIPEDA, right? It's privacy law, and the US is different laws. So every country has laws, but at the same time, the laws are for good reason. They are just to make sure that government is doing their job to ensure that they make the law that if someone is not following the law, they can catch them, right? So a lot of west countries and advanced countries, at least they are very seriously taking the privacy is a very important thing, because they think that this is their responsibility to protect the privacy of their citizen, and which is right. And data protection is the mechanism, the tools that we use, the technologies that we use to ensure the data privacy is maintained, is retained, right? So data privacy is the governance, how you collect and use the data, and data security is the tools and procedure that you make to make sure that data is always protected. Security operations center also, or they have sometimes they have to work with the technologies, in a sense that they have to understand how data is encrypted, how data will be decrypted. Let's say you're saving this personal health information or credit card information of your customers and so on, so you have to make sure that data is encrypted, right? And when you are saving it, even if the hackers get access to data, they cannot misuse it, because it's already encrypted and encrypted with the keys which only organization knows, right? It's not that hackers know it. There's a reason encryption is important. And we studied before, encryption has two types, asymmetric and symmetric. In symmetric, we have used the same key that we encrypt, that we use the same key for decryption. The challenge is that it's simple, is easier, but point is that what if someone get access to one key, so they can break into your data, right? On the other hand, is asymmetric. Actually, I should correct this. This is asymmetric, And asymmetric is the one which has different keys, right? So public and private keys are different. Means that even if one get access to one key, it cannot get access to the other key, right? Private is private. It's only meant to have access by the people who are supposed to see the data. So this is a more common way, asymmetric encryption. This is where most of the web browsing, your email security or TLS, SSL encryption is happening. That's 90% of the internet data is using these keys, where we have the public key and private key. Public key is pretty much everyone can see that, but private key is only the one who's accessing the file or data or whatever. So data encryption technologies, understanding of data encryption, how it works is important for security analysts. And the security operations, important job of the security operation is to make sure that they constantly do the monitoring. You see, you have seen the large in the movies, right? You see these big fancy screens. People are sitting, alarms coming, and someone is trying to, troubleshoot any issues. The big, large fancy screens. This is normally the monitoring is happening, right? That's where a lot of time they see the alarms coming. They put big screens on the walls, and that's where the alarms come from your network element. A lot of devices and tools that we put in place. These devices and tools collect the network logs, and they put the alarms, and they see that if something is wrong is coming, the alarm will pop up, and then you have to troubleshoot on these devices that what happening, why something went wrong, and so on. Normally, this is the ingress, means that when traffic is coming inside your network, let's say your organization network, someone is coming from internet to access your network, some your file servers, they will go through these tools, and these tools will tell you that what's happening. If someone trying to do something bad and trying to come from outside to inside your network. At the same time, there's some traffic that you send out, right? Let's say we try to access some web pages outside. We send an email to outside people. We try to access some application other people's are accessing, are published. So some traffic is ingress inside our network coming from out to in. Some traffic going from users inside my network or our network to outside world. And we have to make sure that we also protecting both. We are monitoring that, and something is bad is happening, we stop that right away. System hardening means that whatever the servers I have, whatever the application I have, whatever the endpoints or the desktop I have, I constantly monitor their configuration. Means that I identify, I do the inventory, I make sure that what is the baseline. Let's say every PC should have, every desktop should have a firewall, right? Antivirus or some software installed. If baseline is not there, and that is not right, means that I constantly I update, right? So Windows release constantly a lot of patches because there are a lot of security breaches happening in the world, and Microsoft works on that. Microsoft fix those patches, and they constantly give you updates, Windows update XXX. So a lot of times you have to make sure that all the PCs or endpoint or devices have the right software installed in their machine and is constantly updated, and the software updates and patches are constantly installed, right? Just to make sure that there is no security holes and loops in the system that are within our network, right? System hardening is a very common thing. It's not that security analysts do all the system hardening. Lot of times there's a separate role, there's a separate GRC kind of role, where they identify the risk that some servers needs to be patched, and that's done through a different mechanism. But sometimes SOC is involved, it depends. But SOC has to make sure that, because end of the day, as I said, SOC is the guardian of the network, right? It's network security. SOC has to make sure that if something is not right, at least identify to the right stakeholder, right people, that your servers are not secure, your servers don't have the baseline, your servers is not running that the patch recommended by the vendor or Microsoft or whatever, right? So this is important that all the systems in the network has to harden and they are secure all the time. We studied before, right? What type of cyber threat actors are there? What are their motivation? They are state funded, they are criminals, they are hacktivists, some terrorist groups, some just do for the sake of fun and thrill. Sometimes it's the discontent employee in the company, and he's not feeling good, he's leaving the company, and he just want to do some damage, and he just do some bad things. So there could be a lot of different type of threat actors, and they could have different motivation, but end of the day, they may result into these type of cybersecurity attacks. And a lot of time is just the ignorance, right? The social engineering normally technique, you see that people clicking on the fancy emails coming for the lottery ticket winning and so on. And sometimes you are receiving the SMS, Sometime you are receiving a request on your social media, someone is trying to friend with you and they're trying to access your device and machine. So a lot of bad things are happening. You have to be vigilant and you have to go through that commonly. What could be the motive, what type of technologies people using, what they could do. As a cyber security analyst and SOC analyst, this is a very common thing. You have to make sure you understand the type of the attacks, you understand what type of technologies people may use to attack you, and when you see an alert and alarm on your screen, then you investigate that what could it be, right? Where it come from, what it is affecting, what type of attack it is, how do I stop it? So a lot of tools and technologies are available, but this knowledge of this is important to provide the security of the alerts, right? That's coming to your organization. And they just the same thing we studied before is just a different type of different categories. Malware have been categorized into this, social engineering attack categorized into this one, malware in the middle categorized this type of attack, denial of service, injection. So as a security analyst, you have to understand at least the concept of this attack, how they get triggered, what is the impact, and so on. And a lot of videos out there on the internet. We have already seen some of those on our previous course. So make sure that you understand these type of attacks. And as I said, right, end of the day, we are the guardian of the system. We have to make sure that there are right policies. Organization normally, organization leaders or the your management in your IT organization, they make these policies, and these policies have to make sure that people change their password on regularly, and people don't misuse the organization. That a lot of time people come to office, they start using the internet for their personal use. A lot of times start using watching movies and downloading movies and using social media in office time and all that. So this is all not acceptable. Sometimes organizations say that, yes, we understand. Sometimes you may need to check your Gmail, personal Gmail. You may need to go to social media, but it all have to be within acceptable limits, right? It's not that you out of 8 hours, 6 hours, you're on your personal social media. That's not fair, right? So the acceptable use policy organization they make sure that you don't go to any wrong side, you don't go to any gaming side, you don't go to any bad side, and so on. So they made these policies, they recommend it, and they make sure that users, at least organization users, are following the policies. Bring your own device. Let's say you're bringing your phone, right? It's not that your phone can start propagating some virus and worms, right? So these all policies, privacy policies, password policies, AUP policies are made for a good reasons, just to make sure organization network is secure. And last but not the least is the awareness training. This is again, as I said, SOC is the guardian of the network. They have to constantly run this awareness trainings. Means that end users are aware that cybersecurity is critical. You have to play your role. You have to follow the policies. You have to make sure that you don't do anything wrong unintentionally. Sometimes a lot of this social engineering and this like email hacking happens on the unintentional basis. You just click on something which you are not clear about. So whatever you're not clear, don't just open that file or don't click on that one. So this was pretty much it, security operations. And I'll just quickly go through this uh, right? So this is again the last chapter. You can see security operation. ISC2 material is again fairly good. They have giving about the understanding about data security, system hardening, security best practices, awareness training, and so on. So make sure that you folks go through these chapters, right? So whatever they have explained, it's there for a good reason. And in the end, they have given the course conclusion, right? So this is kind of a last chapter. They just put some thing that this is your career starting into the cybersecurity domain. So you have to make sure that you write through this exam, certified in cybersecurity, and make sure you go through the course assessment for everything. So this kind of concludes the last domain and the last chapter, and hopefully you guys go through all the material in this slide deck plus the IC2 material, which is more important. And once you go through all of that material, you should be good to go to for exam, in my view, right? After reading the IC2 material and the course that we have done, you should have good knowledge. And this is just a summary to, if you go through all of this, hopefully you should be able to pass the exam. Like this is the official course. The first one is the course, that our IC2 course. This is the most important thing to understand and study. Second thing, this is our course, that we have done previously. You can just review that. It will refresh a lot of concepts. And this is the Fortinet. This is a very good course. I won't say that it's mandatory for passing the ISC2 CC exam, but it will give you some more knowledge, right? If you do this, at least if you cannot do both, at least do the FCF first. That is a base at least. But FCA is give you more, right? But worst case scenario, go with FCF. I think it's 2 3 hour course hardly, and go through this practice question. And practice question perspective, these are the flashcards and the courses. But important thing is that they might not be fresh. You make sure that before exam, a week before exam, you search on Google and YouTube and just make sure that a lot of people give their input, how they feel about the exam, what type of concepts were asked, what type of questions were asked. So just familiarize yourself, right? Just gain some experience from the other people. So go through this, all of this as much as you can, and go through the Google and YouTube before your exam. Make sure you search on some people input. Yeah. And use your common sense in the exam, right? And that's what I would say. It's not in exam, no matter how much you study, no matter how many times you revise the chapter, there will be a question, there will be a concept which will be new to you. You will see that, oh, this is new. I never studied that. I never read that. Why they are asking that? But this happens, right? So, and this is common. You don't need to be panic. You don't need to worry about it. Just keep yourself calm and cool and just read the question twice. Just see whatever you know, which segment of the knowledge applies here, and use your common sense. Sometimes you just have some questions are just common sense. They're not course, maybe they from the course, but they just ask for the common sense, right? You have studied about the ISC code of ethics. You have to behave ethically always, right? So if there's a question about someone is trying to bribe you to share some information and leak some information, you have not studied it in the course, but this is a common sense, right? You should not accept bribe to provide the information or leak the information or breach the someone's data privacy. So this is all common sense. So use your common sense combined with the knowledge you have gained with all this study, and try to do your best. There will be a time their question will be tough. There will be time you will not know what it is, and this is common, right? This is common for this exam. This is common for any other exam. This is common for life. So make sure that common sense prevails, right? You have to use your common sense no matter what, and then combine it with your knowledge. So that's what pretty much it from the course perspective. We went through a lot of details in last few weeks. I hope everyone has a chance to go through the material and study, and these concepts. The more you read, more clear they will become, and definitely uh, chapter 4 and 5. I would say that's domain 4 and 5 that we have studied in ISC2. This is the most application of the cybersecurity and network security knowledge, right? This is if you read chapter 4 and 5 very well, and you understand the concept, and you go through this study material and the reference study material, and you go through all of that, you will have enough knowledge to kick off a job. To tell the truth, you have enough knowledge to find a beginner level, starting level job as a SOC analyst, and maybe in the network and cybersecurity sales domain, or maybe in some other domain related to that one, that give you enough kick start to make a career out of it. Maybe you need more study for sure. I won't say that you are ready immediately after this exam or after this knowledge, but it give you enough ways to make a career out of it. And to tell the truth, when talking about the career in this domain, in the network and cybersecurity domain, this is for sure a very large domain from the network and cybersecurity, especially cybersecurity. A lot of jobs coming into the market. There's a lot of the lack of knowledge in the industry right now. There are more people needed than and there are less people in the market. There's a more demand than supply, but it's for the knowledgeable people. It's not that I just do one course and say that I become my cybersecurity expert, I need a job. No, there will be people who will do a lot of studies. So you have to make sure you have to compete with the world. You have to compete with the with a lot of people around. So you have to bring yourself to a next level, and next level comes with you constantly work on it. It's not just one certification or one exam. In my view, if you want to make a career out of network and cybersecurity, you should give yourself some time to study regularly and constantly. And in this cybersecurity course that we have done previously, in the cybersecurity course. This is posted here actually on this slide share deck. And what happened that in this course we went through a lot of details, and in the end of the course we have the the path, right, how to move forward in the career if you want to make that as your career, right? So make sure that if you want to make that as a career, whether in the sales or business development or technology development or SOC analyst or network analyst or whatever technology focus or business focus, you have to study more. That this is just the beginning, I would say, right? But this is a very lucrative career. This is a very solid career. It gives you constant 30 plus years of career if you start working on it now. In my view, you should spend and plan, let's say, 1 year of study. Go slow, but make sure you gradually and slowly gain the knowledge. You study, like we have suggested this study courses in our previous course, that you go through this simply learn. This is simple videos. This is Eureka videos, cyber and gold cybersecurity course. After this course, you do some the theoretical knowledge gain, ISC2. That's what you are doing right now. And there are some tools and practices that you can do, right? These are the online tools that we can practice at your home. And after that, you write some certification. ISC2, I hope you guys all or most will write ISC2 cybersecurity, and hopefully you will pass. And this has Fortinet, FCF, and FCA is good start. And after this Google cybersecurity professional. If you spend 1 year doing all of that and constantly reading it, studying it, do this certification, do this practice things, and do this courses. These three things, I'm sure all of you will be able to find a good job, good career starting job. And once you start a career, after that, it's up to you how much time spend you spend on you or brushing up your knowledge, brushing up your skill, and you do more certification, you go up in your career. It's all about becoming more skilled and more smart and more knowledgeable. So organization will be looking for you. They will be running after you to join their organization, because it's all about knowledge, right? uh, right now we are all reading a lot of basics, a lot of bases, how to start the career and all that. Once you start the career, you'll find the light, you will find the domains. Okay, I should focus more on identity, I should focus more, I can be expert in network security. So you will, that's where you will become started finding more granular and starting finding which path I should make a further career in. A lot of people are looking for these kind of skill that I'm telling you right now, that spend year or 6 months going through this one. Once you have done all of that, and especially if you done this thing like these three certification and plan yourself for these 3 4 certification, I'm sure finding a job will not be a problem. Having a degree is not important. Having a skill is more important. This is the message, right? A lot of people in these days do for degrees, which is good. You should have a degree. There's no issues with a degree, but at the same time, skill is the one which pays your bill, right? Which gets you a job, which will pay your monthly expense and all that. So to work on this skill, cybersecurity and network is the skill that can feed your family for next many years to come. But you have to spend some time, you have to spend some energy, you have to make sure you gain some advanced level knowledge. You kind of become initially you become to a level that organization is willing to hire you with this all this certification and knowledge. And after that, you can constantly keep working on certification and gaining knowledge, so you become expert in your area and domain. Lot of jobs for the sales, lot of job for the business development in this area. But at the same time, in order to sell, you need some knowledge what you're selling, what type of technology, what type of issues customer are having, so you can solve those technologies. If you are a techie, you are working in technology, then you should investigate more on alerts. What type of alerts are happening? What type of attacks hackers are doing? How do I mitigate this attack? How do I stop this one? Right? So if you have personality is more technology oriented, go for technology. If your technology, your personality is more on business and sales and business development, go for business development and cybersecurity domain. If you are more on management, governance, there's jobs for that one, right? So whatever your personality attributes to, whatever your more interest comes on. Not everyone's supposed to be technical, not everyone's supposed to be salesman, not everyone is supposed to have the business development skills, not everyone is supposed to have the governance and audit skills. So whichever skills you want to, you think that your personality is better fit, there is a career path in network and cyber security for that domain. But you all have to work hard, you have to study, you have to spend some time on that. And for sure there is a good career out there, I can tell you right now. but not for everyone, only for those who are willing to spend time, energy, and constantly keep learning, keep growing. It's not that you do one time, you stop it. No, you have to constantly do it throughout your career. We all have been doing for 25 plus years who are doing in this field. Unfortunately, IT, this is the way IT works, right? You have to constantly learn, but it's a good career. It gives a respectful living. It gives you a lot of good jobs, and you can find the jobs in the country, outside the country, abroad, whatever, wherever, right? So it's a good career prospect, but you have to spend some time. In my view, these three things I'm telling you, going through the courses, doing some practice projects and tools, and after that going through certifications, it will give you enough to start a career, and that's what you should focus on. Or you all are beginner and newer right now, so this is the three things that you should focus. Go to the course, do some labs and all that, write these exams, and if you want to find a job after that, yes, go for that job right now, right away, right? As soon as you're done, you can start a career, you can do your university study in parallel, whatever. But make sure that gain some knowledge before going to the field. Don't just expect that you will find a job without gaining knowledge. There are tons of people out there looking for a job. Why would someone give you a job, right? If you're not good in what you're telling. So you have to make sure that gain the knowledge, retain the knowledge, advance in the knowledge, and this is what you have to do. Keep doing in this career. Good.